If you were at school any time in the last 10 years or so, there's likely a sound burned into your brain. That cheerful little ding, someone just got a positive point. And then there's the other one. Negative point, someone just got done. And the whole class heard it. If that's ringing a bell right now, congratulations, you were a Class Dojo kid. You had a little monster avatar. You watched your score go up and down on the smartboard while trying to work out long division. Welcome back. We need to talk about what the app was actually doing to you. Because even if you loved Class Dojo and have nothing but good memories, it was actually impacting you negatively. Hear me out. A mum called Ali, whose 5-year-old son Alex has ADD, wrote on an educator's blog, "From day one, I have come to hate Class Dojo, as my son seems to get nothing positive out of it. All he gets is negative reminders of his slip-ups. He even started telling her he didn't want to go to school. I know this is because he is constantly worried about how many dojo points he will get, or will not get, and is constantly focused on the negative feedback he gets from such a system." Sad thing is, that boy was 5. Then there's the case of another little boy who came home crying because he thought he might win the weekly dojo award, but didn't. Even at bedtime, he was still going. He doesn't understand why the naughty kids get rewards, but he feels invisible. He said there's something wrong with him, and he is very upset. He's not even old enough to tie up his own shoelaces. And he's lying in bed at night thinking he's broken because of Class Dojo. And these stories are buried. Completely buried under 5 stars and heart emojis, and teachers saying Class Dojo changed their lives. And I get why.
Quick reminder to hit subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Thank you.
Because I loved this app too. Past tense. A few years back, I was teaching English as a foreign language abroad. Class Dojo was already there when I arrived. School policy, part of the furniture if you will. And giving positive points felt great. Tap the green button, happy sound, kid beams at you. I felt like a proper good teacher, buzzing off it, honestly. Then I had to give my first negative point. A lad, let's call him K, kept interrupting. Policy was clear. I gave him a negative dojo point. That sad sound played throughout the entire classroom. K's face dropped. He looked around at his mates. His score went down on the board where everyone could see. He was about 8, and I felt rotten. I told myself he'd been warned and tried to move on. Over time, the guilt faded, but tapping that button became a reflex. I told myself it was fine because it was what everyone else did. After I left teaching, I started seeing stories like Ali's online, and the more I read, the heavier that guilty feeling got, because these parents are talking about kids who come home from school and cry, the ones who stop wanting to go to school altogether. And I started thinking, was I a part of this? So let's start with the well-behaved kids. You'd think they'd be fine, right? They're following the rules, the system should leave them alone. But here's the sick irony. Teachers naturally focus on the disruptive kids. When a naughty kid finally sits still, that's worth a positive point. It's a big moment. But the quiet kid who's been sitting nicely all day, they just don't get noticed. You get fewer points through sheer invisibility. And then they look at the board and think they're failing. Another child actually managed to work out a hack for Class Dojo, a way to get a guaranteed perfect score. Days where she received 100% positive, I excitedly asked her what made the difference. She explains that she just sits there and doesn't talk all day. Those days she appears sad and expresses that she didn't enjoy school that day. Think about that. An 8-year-old figured out that the only way to win at Class Dojo was to become silent. And on the day she even managed that, which shouldn't be possible for an 8-year-old, she became miserable. The mother added, "This system seems to fail at taking into account that these are 8 and 9-year-old children, not robots." Another mum described her son as learning a similar behavior tactic. "My son avoids this teacher. Asking a question can lead to a negative mark for not following directions. So he does not ask questions and does not learn to his potential in this class. He tries to survive this experience, and that is not how a classroom should be run. Students make fun of others during breaks that received low marks." Then we need need to talk about the gaming of the system. A Mumsnet parent described how her reception-age child figured out the system's perverse incentive. They had noticed that the weekly top star always went to a child that had been doing something naughty for a while, but then it did something good, so they had planned to do something naughty for a while and then be good so that it would finally be their turn. When a 4-year-old can spot the design flaw in your app, mate, no software update is gonna fix that. And the sound. Yes, we need to address the sound directly. Kids are literally out there developing Pavlovian anxiety to the Class Dojo sounds. As this parent says, he got hardwired to do the bing sound, however, and it became a negative experience awaiting the ticks on his avatar. Was it for me? Was it good? Was it bad? He started focusing more on that than his work. Another parent added, he says the noises Class Dojo make are distracting and make it hard for him to stay on task. When students hear the sound, they look to see who received a positive or negative point. I receive more feedback on my child's behavior than I do his class work. And some of you watching this were that kid. You were the one sat there doing everything right, watching your score stay flat, while the class clown got praised for finally shutting up for 5 minutes. You know exactly how that's felt. You just never had a word for it. Now we need to talk about the kids who cop it worst. Class Dojo punishes fidgeting, calling out, getting out of your seat, going off task. And that's a list of ADHD systems. If you grew up with ADHD and Class Dojo was in your classroom, the system was essentially docking you points for having a brain that works differently. And if you got diagnosed later in life, which loads of people do, you might be sat here right now realizing that all those negative points you racked up as a kid weren't because you were naughty. You just hadn't been diagnosed yet. One parent described her son with ADHD getting several dojos a day, sometimes a minute apart. He receives 0 positive reports on a monthly basis. He is embarrassed and thinks his teacher hates him or that he himself is dumb for not being able to stay on task. We put him on meds in the hopes that it would help. Another parent added, my son, a straight A student with ADHD, got 44% negative 2 weeks ago, 43% negative 1 week ago, and get this, 100% negative this week. Imagine what this looks like to a child. 100% negative for a straight A student. It's mad, isn't it? And we also need to talk about the racial dimension. Coda Story investigated Class Dojo in Jefferson County, Kentucky. Moises Valencia, a single dad, welcomed the app at first, but almost immediately I was getting notifications that called my son defiant and out of control. It didn't seem like my Javi, and yet the white teachers couldn't give me specifics. And it was worse because all the other kids saw him being marked down on the projector, which made him want to give up on trying at all. He even asked the teachers how he could help. They said he just needs to not be bad. And now Javi thinks he is bad, but he is not. He is really good. In the same investigation, a 7-year-old black girl got called a racial slur by a classmate. Understandably, she walked out crying. Then she got deducted points for leaving the classroom. Upjohn Institute research found white teachers are 30% less likely to believe in the academic potential of their black students. And Class Dojo hands that bias a one-click, fast lane. So, you might be thinking, surely this is just teachers using the tool wrong. It's the implementation, right? Yep, that's what the defenders of Class Dojo will say. If your child is following the rules, they have nothing to worry about. Or they might add, until a person teaches a class themselves, they should say nothing. But the problems with Class Dojo are actually baked into the very design itself, and we've actually known this for nigh on 50 years. We indeed need to talk about this incredibly interesting 1973 study. As part of the study, researchers rewarded preschoolers for drawing, something that they already love to do. And afterwards, those kids who got a reward for drawing, they spent half as much time drawing as the kids who got nothing, basically showing that the reward killed the thing they loved. This is in fact called the overjustification effect. A meta-analysis of 128 studies confirmed it. Rewards for things that people already want to do actually undermines the motivation to do them, and they found that it's worse in children than in adults. So when Class Dojo gives points for being kind and helping others, it actually turns genuine motivation into a transaction. So be kind and you get points. Take the points away, however, and the kindness goes with it. It's like paying your mate to help you move house, and then wondering why he stops answering your calls when you stop paying. A third grader in the New York Times, bless her, summed the whole thing up. I like it because you get rewarded for your good behavior, like a dog does when it gets a treat. She got it. She absolutely got it. Jamie Manolev at the University of South Australia compared Class Dojo directly to China's social credit system. Constant monitoring, behavior converted into scores. Scores used to control people. And actually, here's where I owe you something, because when I think back, I mean really think back, I actually gave way more negative points than I'm comfortable admitting. And yeah, I know some of you are probably watching this thinking, mate, you're literally the problem you're describing. And yeah, I kind of think I was. It was so easy, just one tap. You move on. I mean, you don't really think about whether that kid then goes home and cries. I think it's because the system made it feel normal. Cute monsters, cheerful sounds, you got a clean interface. And everyone's doing it. I mean, the school told you to do it, so I guess you do it. And somewhere out there, a kid is learning that their worth is a number on a screen. Which brings us on nicely to the money. Because whilst Class Dojo may be free for schools, parents actually get upsold on Class Dojo Plus, which jumped from $5 to $15 a month in late 2024. And over 1 million parents subscribe, which is wild when you think that it wasn't parents who chose this platform. The school did. The moment you download the app, you're in a commercial funnel. One parent's got multiple pushy invitations to sign up within 5 minutes of creating an account. A teacher admitted she was kind of appalled at the prompts, and teachers don't know that's happened. The premium tier locks away read receipts on messages. WhatsApp manages that for free, but alright, Class Dojo. Kids' classroom photo memories behind the paywall. Over 125 exclusive monster accessories that free users can't get. Whilst it may be the same virtual world, some kids have fancier avatars based on, of course, what their parents can afford. The biggest investor in Class Dojo is a company called Tencent, a Chinese tech giant. They have valued Class Dojo at $1.25 billion. And if Class Dojo ever gets sold, all of that behavioral data on tens of millions of children goes to the buyer. Baroness Biban Kidron called it a Faustian deal. Free technology at the cost of children's data. And Class Dojo, it keeps growing. They've added an AI assistant in 28,000 schools. And as of 2026, Class Dojo payments. Schools handling money through the app at 60,000 retail locations. And of course, every expansion makes it harder to leave. So where does this leave us? And more specifically, where does this leave you? Because if you grew up with Class Dojo, you were part of an experiment that 50 years of psychological research said was a bad idea. You were scored, ranked, publicly displayed and surveilled. And you were told it was normal because everyone else was doing it too. Some of you thrived in that system and have genuinely fond memories. And some of you didn't, because some of you were always in the red. Some of you learned to sit still and shut up and stop asking questions, because that was the only way to survive. And some of you are only realizing now that the problem was the system, not you. And we have to say that alternatives do exist. Approaches that build self-regulation from within, instead of training kids to perform for points. Montessori, after all, has done it for over a century. But Class Dojo is easier to install than a philosophy for education, so here we are. Haley O'Connor, a teacher, wrote, "To be honest, this one makes my stomach hurt. I'm so ashamed that I ever used these in my classroom. I think it made students feel that their worth to me and their classmates was tied to how well they could stay in their seats, not shout out or follow instructions." And it's fair to say, I know exactly how she feels. And a reviewer on Common Sense Education wrote a line I keep coming back to. "Please, please, please, know that this app is a disservice to the nature of a human being. Leave Class Dojo to Pavlov's dogs where it belongs." Yeah, what they said. If this video made you think twice about the app, why not share it with a teacher or parent who uses it? Because the kids being hurt by this thing can't exactly make a YouTube video about it, can they? They're like 5. They're just trying to get through the day without hearing that bloody negative dojo sound. If you made it to the end, smash that like button, you class dojo holic, you, and I'll see you for the next one. Snipe, snap, out.